Can you hear me now? Perfect, perfect. Even I can hear me actually, so this works. First of all, apologies that the session is starting late. I would like to believe that we're having a lot of fun on the main stage, so the day has been running slightly behind. But it's important conversation, so we're grateful to be having said conversations. Today, we're going to be having an exciting conversation around AI readiness. I've had what I thought were undercover conversations with people who I thought did not know I was the moderator, but after a while I realized that they knew I was the moderator. But I was trying to get reactions from the audience around, are you really ready for AI? AI is coming. Is the workforce ready? And what we're going to be doing over the next 30 or so minutes is discussing this at full length. You know, I'm not going to do any definitions. You all know what AI is. You all know where we are today. We all know the new technologies that exist. What I will be doing instead is having conversations with people who I know and respect around, you know, what this means for the workforce and how we can better prepare ourselves. So I would like to introduce the panelists that will be joining me for this conversation. The first person I'd like to introduce is Isioma Utomi. She is the CEO. No, we'll clap for you, then you come out. But we'll read your profile like a guest minister. She is the CEO of Catalyst Experience Solutions, where she's a leadership development consultant and an innovative leadership strategist. She helps founders, executives, and emerging leaders redesign how they work and lead. As CEO of Catalyst Experience Solutions and the founder of the Performance Upgrade Lab, she focuses on productivity systems, continuous improvement, and practical AI-enabled leadership for growing organizations. Please put your hands together for Isioma Utomi. Hi. And the next person is also a good friend. So this is going to be a conversation among friends, actually, where you are all welcome to listen in. He is Mr. Tope Ajao. He is the Chief Delivery Officer for Blue Chip Technologies and Primo Academy. He's a business technology leader with over 20 years of experience leading teams and delivering large-scale technology and data initiatives. Through Blue Chip Technologies and Primo Academy, he supports practical data analytics and AI capability building for enterprises and professionals across Africa. Please put your hands together for Tope Ajao. Can we change this mic, please? And at some point, we will be joined by Mr. Yomi Akinyemi, who is a partner of analytics and operations at KPMG Nigeria. So if he's able to join us, we would very much be glad to listen to his thoughts and comment on the conversations. But we're going to get started. I think our time has been fast spent. So I'm just going to set the stage, and, you know, as an introduction, I had a paragraph, but I'll be happy for you to also give a slight introduction as to yourself and why this conversation is timely from your perspective. So can we try from Tope?
Hello?
Yes.
I think it's working. Okay. My name is Tope Ajao. I think that the fact that we do delivery, right? In my line of work, I have to relate with loads of clients within our environment who are thinking of how they can adopt AI to improve on what they are currently doing. And as part of looking after Primo, which is the training arm, the expression of blue chip technologies that then get to train people for organizations as well. I think that we must have had over 1,000 people come through Primo. All right. We've run in excess of about 25 tech academies for organizations. And I think I've spoken to each one of them. I've listened to them. I've seen them move into organizations and take over specific roles within their IT department. I've been speaking about the future of workforce for almost 10 years. The first time I spoke about it was for Toyosi Akerele of Rise Network. Yeah, somewhere KPMG had a facility where she was using at that time. And I've been really interested in the future of work, not because I can predict it, right, but because it's interesting how it's playing out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isioma Utomi. And like you said, I have a pretty interesting and mixed background myself. So I started out once upon a time as an engineer. I started as a mechanical engineer in manufacturing for many years. And my favorite area was process improvement and working with people to actually help them be more successful in their roles at work. And it's very interesting that after now about a couple of years more of leadership development work, that we have this kind of merging of areas. We have the people who are now looking at AI as it changes the way we look at things. And I think it's going to come up quite a bit, just how impactful the way people think, the way people behave is to actually adopting AI. Because it's not going to be a case of just new technology. Technology alone will not save us. And so having these conversations, I think, is very important to kind of see what are all the different factors that go into it, both the technology and the human side.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much for that round of intros. Can we please put your hands together for them? While they were speaking, I believe we were joined by Mr. Yomi Akinyemi. So please, can you make your way to the stage while I read your profile? Actually, you give your profile yourself since you just came. Right now. Can we get a better mic? Please, that one seems to be skipping.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here. My name is Yomi Akinyemi. I'm a partner with KPMG. My focus is on data analytics, helping clients make sense of data. And now in this AI age, the opportunities are immense. So happy to be part of this conversation. Sorry, I lost my way within this very large building. That's why I'm late. Apologies for that.
Maybe we should consider in future robots that will guide people. We'll think about it.
All right. So I think in looking at this topic, we're preparing people or preparing organizations and asking if the workforce is ready. The reality is AI is already here in our workplaces, whether it's formally approved or not. People use AI to write emails, to write briefs, to write proposals. And what I've seen in my experience, also leading an organization, is there are always individuals that become AI champions, sometimes to the detriment of the organization, but oftentimes to the advantage of organization. So what I'd like to take, starting from Isioma here, is, do you think as a strategy, it should be something that naturally forms, or do you think organizations should have a clear-cut AI policy and AI approach?
As it is right now, honestly, most organizations are somewhere between awareness of AI and actual readiness. It makes sense to have an orchestrated way of looking at how AI is going to be adopted within your organization, because the truth is that there will be people who are already using it. They are not waiting for you. They are using it to make their documents. They are using it to profile clients. In fact, I had a discussion with a very prominent lawyer recently, and he was like, he got an email from one of his associates, and he's like, I know she didn't write it. It didn't sound like her at all.
It sounded too professional.
It just did not sound like the person. And he was just like, what is this AI thing that you people are all talking about? And it's just a marker of, the story could go two ways here. It could be he reprimands her for doing that, in which case she was like, I'm not going to use it for my work again. Or he leads from the path of curiosity and, okay, why did you decide to use this in your work? Are there particular things that you could have considered in creating this particular document? What are the good, aspects of a contract, for instance? That mindset, that leadership position will make a very, very big difference in terms of how it's adopted within the organization, whether formally or informally. Because if they know that the guy at the top is looking at you as you're using it and shaking his head, you probably will just hide it in the corner, and it will not encourage more people to use it. So Professor Amy Edmondson is one of my favorite people to read, and her area is one word that the phrase that she coined was psychological safety. It basically means that you are in an environment where you feel like if you share an idea or if you make a mistake, nobody's going to punish you. I'm curious how many people have worked in Nigerian offices and felt like that. I see some heads in the audience shaking. So, but that's the thing. We need an environment that has psychological safety in order for AI to actually be fully implemented. So I think I'll just leave it there for now.
Thank you very much. And you know, you spoke about the organization preparing and accepting that, you know what, AI is here and we have to lead with that. That's the next level. So Yomi, I would like you to share in your experience. So you're a consultant, or as we look at it colloquially, what separates organizations that are ready for the AI revolution from those that are not? And are there certain markers that, you know, you can identify and say, okay, these guys are ready?
All right, good question. And from what we see in the field, there are organizations at different levels of maturity when it comes to AI adoption. And the markers we really see around those that are ready and versus those that are just aware center around a few points, you know, if I can summarize. One would be executive leadership, to the extent that the executive team have adopted AI, welcome it. It's not just being aware of it. That's one distinction. So we see organizations that are ready, their executives are really champions for AI initiatives in the organization. The second is as to data readiness. AI thrives on data, good quality data. So the most ready organizations have quality data. But while the drive for quality data, the way I put it, is an endless journey, you never reach 100% of what you desire. But that ability to prioritize your focus on your data elements such that you are prioritizing what is most important to start with, knowing that you are on a journey to, you know, El Dorado, as it were. The third point I will read around AI readiness is around the culture of the organization. The extent to which the organization itself, led by the executive team, have adopted and welcomed AI utilization. And we see this at different levels in different organizations where, you know, like she mentioned, some will reprimand it, you know, if it's used in a way that is not authorized in quotes, but others also welcome the initiative. But more importantly, beyond encouraging the team to use AI capabilities, is really to have control around how AI will be utilized. While the opportunities around AI are immense, we also need to understand that there is a lot of risk inherent in its adoption. So an organization that is ready understands that there are opportunities that can be harnessed, but also the risk exposure can be quite high. And they will ensure that as they go for the opportunities, they are also managing the governance that is required to drive it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And you did mention some salient points, you know, especially the very last point around responsible AI use and the risk around AI. So I wanted to take us back to Tope now. Let's even go back. We've been talking about using AI. Everybody, when they think about AI, the first thing they think is an LLM, you know, it's ChatGPT. That's the first thing they think. But in your experience beyond that, how far being mindful of the audience, I see tags, people from big firms, from medium-sized firms, but a lot of people from small firms, all this one that say AI can transform your industry. It might not apply to them. They just want to make money tomorrow. What are some of the examples of solutions that you think AI can pull out? And for somebody thinking about adopting AI today, how does that look like? You know, at the different tiers, so sort of at the big firm, medium size, and a startup level.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that the point you've made is where we really have to speak a lot about. But Isioma has built a foundation. He's like built a guardrail around it. But what goes inside of it, really? So from the point of, if the truth is, if the leader is not interested in it, forget about it. It's going to die natural death. You will hide it. But AI, let's think about it from individuals and enterprises. As an individual, we started working for a company in North America. Our first meeting was with their CEO, He's left he's left now. The CFO took over, so the CEO, the CFO, the everything. Our guys were very excited about it. We had already started using note takers and all of those things. Immediately we popped up on the call and he saw note takers. He told them, take everything out. So of course he's a customer. He's bringing dollars out immediately first. But then I flew
delete all your note takers and
straight up.
Okay.
What's my own? He wants to give me money and then you're talking about taker, you know. But 2 months after, I sat with him in his office in North America, and I asked him. No, before I went, he then asked after the meeting. He said, "Okay, so I'd like to really ask you guys a question." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "This note taker thing. What would you recommend?" After he told us to remove it, he said, "Okay, what do you think?" I said, "Well, I think it's a very effective tool to take notes. However, I do not know where the data is going." So I need to put that disclaimer out. I don't know. So that guy listens to all our conversations and I don't know where the data is going. And up till now, I still don't know where the data is going. So sometimes, even when I get on some calls, I knock off the note takers. That's the honest truth. And it's not because I really don't know. And I don't know what my colleagues are sometimes doing with it. So there is the concern in there from an individual point of view. Now, when you then begin, and let me look at an entrepreneur, for example, before we then go to enterprises. As an entrepreneur, so let's say you're selling, I don't want to use a woman, so they won't come after me on Twitter. So let's say you're selling shoes on Instagram. I've seen, I'm not a big fan, but I've heard loads of people say that when they reach out to the person on Instagram, the person will then give them a WhatsApp line and then move the conversation to WhatsApp line after a while. You know, after a while that they've been chatting on Instagram. Sometimes they don't even respond promptly to Instagram, but they respond faster to WhatsApp. Now think about it. If I'm selling on Instagram and I have an assistant, an AI assistant that helps me to do customer service, I literally you've solved a huge problem for me. So we ran an academy recently, and the project, and they're going to present it to me next week. The project I gave them was build an AI assistant for an average person that's on Instagram, right? And I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's one way. Now we then go into enterprise, and everybody, like Fola said, everybody thinks it's really just AI assistant. They're really great. But there's the advanced analytics model that is also an essential and integral part of AI. We did something for a Tesla. It became Mobile. It's T2 Mobile now. During COVID, they were on a platform called Pegasystems. Pegasystems is one of the best campaign system in the world. When you call in, they can see your profile and they can say that, oh, if you call in and you are using this package, it will recommend that these are the top 3 packages that you should take. If you sell it to this person, the person will take it. And that's typically, that's the foundation. If you like, you can then bring a human agent to then begin to AI agents to then take it on from there. But that's one very beautiful foundational use case. Unfortunately, everybody is going towards AI, just AI assistant. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying that there are multiple ways, there are multiple use cases. We then go into enterprise. The first time we did something very interesting around this text to speech was for Wema Bank. And this was maybe in 2000. I'm not sure that everybody was shouting AI then. What did they want? They realized that their salespeople were having challenges discussing products with their customers. So they said to us, is there anything you can solve this problem for us? I said, do you have Teams subscription? They said, yes. Luckily, Microsoft just invested into OpenAI. So OpenAI launched on Ajao. So we plugged to OpenAI, but they did one difficult job, which boils down to some of the things that he mentioned, especially around the quality of data. So they had to first create quality data around their products that the AI tool will then talk to. And it had to be in a structured format. And so we built it on Teams. So we gave all of them had access to Teams. You could just type on Teams, how much is the percentage that you will charge this, and instantly it will give you a response. But this was sometimes around just post-COVID. So I think the key thing, all right, and to give it back to you, is there are different dimensions. And I think that we shouldn't all be so much in a hurry. Pick use cases, play around it, get your hands dirty within the guardrails so that you don't lose money, right? But try it. And as we live here, and I think that for some of you that are very hands-on, somebody told me something. I spoke to some youth fellowship yesterday. They asked me to come and talk about career and all of that. And the gentleman told me that he's now a big programmer, very big programmer. He's worked for some of the biggest payment gateway companies. He said, if I can't remember, I say I can't remember. He said the first application that he tried to build, we were together in the media department. So I told him, Shebi, you say you know how to code. Go and build this thing now. He said that's the first thing that he built, and that thing changed his life. So I'm saying don't leave here if you're coding, whatever you're doing, make sure you make a decision and do something, and begin to try something.
Thank you very much. Please, can we give him a round of applause for that response? So as we get to the final section of this conversation, I would like us to bring it home. We've already started that in terms of practical steps. As we talk about the workforce readiness, I think a big part of this happens psychologically. I was listening in the main stage, and they were talking about AI adoption, where a lot of firms the CEO would even buy in, and then they'll pay for something, and nobody's using it. In fact, I'm experiencing it in my company today. I've paid for Claude. Nobody's using, 10% of the organization are using Claude. And so, Isioma, you are really big on performance management, future of work. So I'd like you to guide us sort of on how people can see AI more as something that improves work and not a threat to their existence, not something that's going to take over their work. And I say this as, we sometimes assume people don't know. They know. It's like, that you should eat healthy, but most of us, some of you don't eat healthy. Me, I eat healthy. But how do you frame the workforce in the way that they start to see AI as an ally, not a threat?
Thank you. That's basically why they pay the bosses the big bucks, essentially. You have to create that environment that supports the change that you want. In fact, one of the biggest skill sets that you actually need now is not even the technology skill itself, is your ability to manage change at every level, at the organ level, at the managerial level, in the front lines. You need to be able to manage change. And generally, it makes it easier if you have some kind of known system for change. So back in the day when I used to work in manufacturing, we used to use Six Sigma as our quality methodology. So it's just basically a framework for making decisions and for improving things. And because we had that framework and the whole organization, was told how to use it and when to use it, which is basically whenever you need to make a big decision, whenever you need to make a big change, you have to use this framework. That meant that every time somebody wanted to bring up a new idea or they wanted to make a change in their department, they used the framework and went through it. So the second they're presenting it to their own organs or to their own superiors, you literally have a discussion saying that I went through all the steps stated and this is the outcome we came with, and it was accepted because it was a standard framework that was within the organization. And so in this era, it could be anything. It could be design thinking, it could be your own framework that you set up. But the important thing is people have to know that there's a way that they will be able to access these changes, will be able to make these changes. And again, back to psychological safety, feel safe making those changes. Because if you run a project and it doesn't work out, am I going to get in trouble now? Will I lose my job? You have to make it so that the environment feels like it's very safe. And so back to what even Mr. Yomi mentioned about having a culture that supports it. Your ability to learn, your ability to have a learning culture is so much, almost, I would say, just as important as the technology itself. Because if you think about it, if you see a young child and you put an iPad in front of them, they figure that thing out in like the next 30 seconds. They already know what to do. They're just swiping left and right. And you're just like, how did they get to YouTube? The same thing. Even as adults, we have to keep learning, and you have to keep your mindset in a way that everything is not an obstacle, but an opportunity. And the way you can solidify that in an organization is one, by example, from a leadership perspective. Yeah. And then also by, again, having a system for doing that. Where do people go for resources? Is that publicly known? Where do people come when they need help or when they're having challenges? If you have this sort of environment that supports learning and culture, between having great leadership and improving their capability, you have a much better chance of adopting AI.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Isioma, for that. I'm going to ask Yomi now. So, true story. One of my closest friends and I, we discovered Replit the same day. So, Replit is a tool for building apps and a bunch of stuff. And our reactions were so different. My reaction was, oh my God, my dev team are going to appreciate this. His reaction was, oh my God, I'm going to sack my whole dev team. Literally the same time. And what I saw was a future where there's a risk where there are people who use AI and those who don't use AI. So from an advisory standpoint, how do you make sure that you don't create a divide of those who use versus those who don't? And it's also a trick question. Should there be a divide? Will there be a divide? How do you make sure that there's no divide? In 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
Aiming for a situation where there's no divide, I don't think is practical. I think naturally there will be that divide. There will be those that see AI as an ally, and Isioma has quite explained that in a very interesting way. But there are also those that AI will happen to.
Clock it.
Yeah, that AI will challenge their existence in the organization, and that is the reality. So there are jobs that will be affected. And the way I see AI is that we need to be paranoid as to how AI impacts our role in the organization. There are things I did many years ago in an earlier part of my career that we don't need a human to do anymore. So that means AI is affecting the way we operate in organizations today. And the reality is that it is those that can ride on the wave of AI that will survive in any organization. I was having an interesting conversation with a friend, and one of the KPIs she has, working in a very big organization, is she needs to teach AI to do a job. So the organization has already reached the point where there are some jobs that will no longer exist. While she can be scared of the future of her role in the organization, she has an immediate KPI that she either teaches AI to do the job or she gets out of the organization. It's a KPI that she will be measured by. While that can be a very fearsome situation, but it's also an opportunity. Because as we see AI, it is not perfect today, even tomorrow, it will not be perfect. So the best employees, the best users of AI, the best and most competent owners of businesses are those that can layer in the human loop on top of AI. AI still needs humans in the loop to be effective. And when I work with junior colleagues and they come up with content from AI, there are some that use it really well, that their personality is still reflected in the output. Yeah. There are some, and I think Isioma made the example, that it doesn't look like you actually put this together. So those that are most successful at using AI are those that will still infuse their personality and ride on really what AI is capable of. So the opportunities are immense, but also the threats to us in our various roles is also significant, and we must not ignore it.
Thank you very much. I like that, especially highlighting the human loop. There's nothing worse than somebody sending you something and you can prove that it's AI. The best AI is the one that is AI, but you don't really have the proof. You're like, it's not here. There's no M dash. You're looking for the M dash. I found this is AI. And so that's where the human loop comes in. And whether it's in software development, whether it's in technology, application development, writing, creative writing, or music making. There's a song that came out last week by, what do you say? Mr. P. From one of the half of P Square. Did you guys hear the AI inside it? Okay, go and listen to the new song by AI. I'm not listening to your time. All of us, they run late today. All of us are running late. There's a new song by Mr. P, one of the P Square brothers, and half of it is AI. And why it's important is, if you remember the Will Smith eating noodles videos from back in the day, the first iteration 4 years ago was terrible. The last iteration last year was amazing. last year. This year's on, I'm sure Will Smith will be like, when did I eat this noodles? Like, it's going to feel like it's him. But that's video making. For me, on Twitter, I've blocked Anthropy. I've blocked OpenAI because every day they are releasing something new. I've not finished learning the last one. You have released the new one. So true story, I've blocked everybody. And so talk about the question I'd like you to answer is, where do we draw the line and say, okay, you know what? Let me catch up with yesterday's AI, because the tools keep coming and coming and coming. Do you say we should just, there's no time to learn AI, to use the AI? How do we balance it?
So my own approach, and I think our approach at Blue Chip is, what's the pain that you are having? What's the pain? So it's not technology for us. What's the pain? So, for example, and everybody has said this, your colleague uses AI to generate the document so that it can be very quick. But then he generates the document and didn't review it and then sends it to you. Someone told me that you to use AI to review the document. I'm like, so there's one layer, 10, right? And then it comes to me, I review it with AI, then the 10 doubles as problem. So the gap begins. But if you've used AI, all right, and the thing is really quick, all right, and then it comes to me and I have to review and I have to waste the time that you saved, you have not solved any problem. Just save my life. Just make life easy for me. I already have so many to deal with. So for me, it honestly is really not about the technology. What problem are we solving? What is available? I saw a video last week. I don't know if you saw it. The leader in Anthropic said, you know what? We have to find a way to pause these discoveries.
Yes.
It's too fast. He said it on national TV.
Yeah.
It's too fast. We can't. We went to speak to a bank. They said their legal people have problems. It's too stressful. It's too this. While we were saying, okay, we can use Claude to solve this problem, Claude released something dedicated for legal. And then they went back. They had gotten approval. They cancelled it. They started the process all over. And because it's a bank, they have to go through that. By the time they are done, something else will come. So we shouldn't focus on technology. What's the problem that you're trying to solve? Then you look at the market. What's the tool to solve that problem? The truth is, if you also don't move quickly, there's something. By the time you look out again to say, let's just even check if there's another technology, you realize you take another technology, then you start solving the problem afresh. And that's it for me.
And I absolutely like that approach. When you think about it from the problem to be solved, then it doesn't matter the tooling or the time or whatever. You're just focused on the problem that you're trying to solve and more creative ways. So our time is fast spent. What I would do now is, starting from Isioma, I'd like you to summarize any question I haven't asked and you feel like you want to talk about it. But the question I want to ask is, what is a good habit that an organization that wants to stay ready for the AI revolution, what is the good habit the organization needs to imbibe? So that's the question I want to ask. And then you can also answer anything that you want to say.
Right. So I'm biased because of my background, but I would say develop a culture of learning and continuous improvement, because that is the only way to survive in an era of continuous change. One of the things I always said that, like earlier, I mentioned just how important it is to have that mindset of continuously learning, never being at the stage in life where you are like, I can't change anymore, I'm too old. Please remove that from your vocabulary. At this stage of AI, we are all very young. And so I encourage you to, even if, yes, it's a lot coming at us, just find one particular pathway to follow. Learn one particular LLM. You don't have to learn all of them. It's not by force. But really, really just come along on the journey, because there's nothing worse than being left behind in these things. And so I would highly encourage, especially organizations, when you're thinking about where do we start, where do we go with technology, the things that are most important right now is building individuals who actually have learning agility, who are adaptable. You also build a culture that supports that. So basically, if you talk to the Oga at the top, same thing as the cleaner in the living room, all of them should be on the same page when it comes to how we're moving forward and how we're learning. And then finally, you have to have the right leadership that actually understands that we have to be continuously changing, we have to be continuously improving, we have to adapt to these times.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause for her. Tope, 30 seconds or less.
So, how I like to close this kind of conversation is, and I learned it from Jeff Bezos. When they asked him about Amazon, what do you think the future of Amazon should be? He said, you know what? I don't worry my head I don't try to answer that question. The question that I answer is, what will not change? And so think about it in your office, in your business, in personal life. What will not change? What don't you like the way it is that you want to improve? That's what will guide you into what you essentially what your work becomes. If it takes you, Victor Adewusi said it was taking them 24 hours to reconcile. Will the bank ever want to reconcile in 48 hours? Will they ever want to reconcile in 72 hours? No. They will always want to reconcile faster. It's a problem to be solved. Then we find a solution to it. So your work too, what won't change? Customers will always want to do things faster. Right? And to touch on your point, the two elderly people here, there's one of our born here, is a member of a Ikoyi club. He's here. I'm sure he's probably in his maybe 60s, maybe if he's not 70, but he's here with his wife. So think about it. Really, there's no
very young in AI.
Very young, and they're here sitting for an AI session.
Thank you very much, Tope. Please, a round of applause for Tope.
So, where will AI take us? The reality is that we don't know. AI should be seen as, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And there's no point where we will ever get to the fullness of what AI is capable of. What the industry is focused on is there's improvement every other day. And as organizations, as individuals, we need to be flexible, we need to be adaptable, knowing that there will always be something out there that we've not experienced before. What is critical is, are we moving baby steps or giant steps, but are we moving? And are we moving in line with what our market dictates? Because competition is really going to be driven by the organizations that can adapt AI to do better than their competitors. It's a journey, and not a destination.
Thank you very much, Yomi. Please, a round of applause for Yomi. To just recap, we've started the conversation. AI is here. It's inevitable. We agree it's pervasive. It's everywhere. The best type of AI is the AI that involves the human loop. There are so many tools out there, but let's focus on the problem that we want to solve and not hop from tool to tool. And finally, we have to build a culture that constantly thinks about learning, development, and progressing in this journey of AI adoption. Once again, I'd like to thank you very much for making the time to be here. Please, can we give them a round of applause together? Can you give yourselves a round of applause? Can you give me a round of applause? It's not easy. Thank you very much for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the summit.